MarkRogersTV running down all the bowls, and we bring in Graham Couch. You can catch him on 92.1 The Team. His show there, he is the co-host of The Drive and also Lansing State sports journalist. Graham, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you stopping by. A controversy involving the Big Ten, of course, with the selection on Sunday by the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. So your thoughts about the process and then also this particular selection, Alabama over Ohio State, and I don't even want to discount USC as well.
Yeah, well, it was hard for either team to really have a valid selection. If you're Ohio State, you lost, you given up 55 points in Iowa and Phoenix City. I mean, where's the argument? But you just compare them to Alabama. I think I would go with Ohio State, whether you think Alabama is the better team or not. To me, it is about the most deserving team, because it's impossible to know who's truly the best team. And when you play only 4 true road games and you play an 8-game conference schedule and you include Mercer in there, I don't think Alabama did enough not being in a conference championship game. I mean, if that brand is not Alabama, if it's Missouri or Mississippi State or something like that, I think Ohio State's in this. And that's the issue I have with it. Not that Ohio State was all that deserving. I think it was a really immature effort at Iowa City, the sort of effort that should give any committee member pause. And really, I think there were 3 deserving teams, but it's a 4-team playoff. If you're going to put a 4th in, I think Ohio State was the team. It's
really unfortunate, Graham, if the brand name is part of the process, because that is very concerning to me, because it should all be about the resume and the performance on the field, regardless of what the logo is on the side of the helmet. But that's brought up as being in question, and has just about every year that we've been in this process. The other thing that I would put into play, and it's especially interesting because I've made this comment a number of times over the last several days, but having you in place from the football that you cover there in the Big Ten, if we're going to discount and if we're going to downgrade for ugly losses, then I think we also need to count the impressive wins. So not just the quality wins over quality teams, but how impressive they were. So the Michigan State win for Ohio State being as dominant as it was at 48-3, I don't hear that game talked about in light of it being comparable to the LSU and Mississippi State wins for Alabama that were not impressive on the scoreboard.
And I'm also a believer in intent and scheduling. Alabama was supposed to play Michigan State this year. They backed out of that series. It was last year and this year. So when Nick Saban talks about not being able to find an opponent, that's why they played Mercer. I get that they replaced MSU with Florida State, but still, you only have 8 conference games. There's no reason you couldn't play both of those matchups. And so you could have had a head-to-head comparison, not head-to-head, but with Ohio State that was very fair. And I'm not saying I think Alabama might have had the same result against Michigan State. I've certainly seen Alabama drug Michigan State a couple times in previous years, but they chose not to play that game. And when you choose not to play a game, that should be something that's also considered. You know, I'm not anti-Alabama in this sort of thing. I think that, obviously everything they've done is impressive. I'm not really pro-Ohio State, but I think if you just look, you write quality wins and conference champion, I think those things ought to matter. If the conference championships don't matter, why are we playing them? And I think that's a problem too. I think we want conference championships to matter, just for the good of college football, for people to be motivated late in seasons. I'm not saying you have to take only conference champions. I'm sure that there are situations where it makes sense not to. If Alabama had played somebody besides Mercer, perhaps it'd be pretty clear cut. But to discount that, I think. But again, there are not many teams, even in the Big Ten, that would go into Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City and allow 55. That is not a juggernaut of an offense. It was an extremely immature effort, and when you go and do that, it's not like we just had a bad day deal. No, that speaks to the character of the kids in your program a little bit. The starters, that speaks to their focus, their discipline. That was a really poor effort, and that should downgrade you. And I just don't think Alabama's resume was enough to overcome that.
The other 2 aspects I hear at times, Graham, that are being stated by actual people that have knowledge of the process, so this concerns me as well, is that Vegas would tap Alabama being a substantial favorite over Ohio State. I don't think that should come into play. The two teams did play 3 years ago in the first round of the playoffs, and Ohio State was a 10-point underdog and actually won the game. So we know Vegas is wrong 35 to 40% of the time on its favorites, number one. So that would be concerning. And then also what happened to Ohio State last year. I think you need to separate teams, and you can't go based on history and think, okay, well, we don't want that to happen again. And the Big Ten's been shut out 2 consecutive years, so leave them out because we want to try to ensure a competitive game. That would be concerning to me as well.
The one I do love about this, and I agree on the Vegas stuff, you can't, obviously you can't let that come into play. But also that I wanted one of these conferences to be left out. I'm kind of glad that the hand was forced, because to get to an 18 playoff, you need pain where it matters. And there are really only 2 conferences that matter in college football. And I'm talking about power broker-wise, where there's a lot of influence, and that's the Big Ten and SEC. And so you need pain in those leagues. You need the Ohio States, the Alabamas, people with, really massive, fever pitch fan bases to be upset. And that's how you get to an 18 playoff. It doesn't happen when TCU gets screwed. I mean, that's just not going to do it. So this, to me, long term, I think is good. I would have preferred even more cats. Honestly, I would have loved a way somehow that Alabama and Ohio State were left out, or something that really, my dream year is the year that the SEC and Big Ten aren't in the college football playoff together, because that's the last year of a 14 playoff.
And to your point, Graham, the TV ratings, the attendance in the stadiums, the money, it all backs you up in regards to those 2 being way out ahead of the other 3 in the Power 5 in regards to being power brokers, definitely.